What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Wrestling with Johners. This is episode 132, and today's a special WWE Money in the Bank 2020 pay-per-view review. I've got two special guests, not one, but I've got two via Skype, both Essex residents. I've got John Scott, formerly of WrestleLine, now of Turnbuckle TV slash Wrestle Talk, and I've got Jess from Jess Watches. We're going to talk more about Jess because I know that you're a busy girl, but welcome to you both. Jess, I know it's your first time on the Wrestling with Johners podcast, but first of all, how are you both?
I think I'm okay.
You think you're okay?
I think I'm all right, yeah.
John, how are you, buddy? I know it's been a couple of weeks since we last spoke, but how you doing?
I'm living the dream, my friend. I'm living the dream.
Awesome. So, Jess, because it's your first time on the Wrestling with Johners podcast, let's focus on you a little bit, because not only are you a popular podcaster and your YouTube channel has just broken 1,000 subscribers, I think it's up to 1,100 now. So congratulations on all of that. It's little old John here on 101 subscribers, but I'll get there one day. You're also part of the very popular Pro Wrestling Unlimited channel on YouTube, and you're now part of the TWM Wrestle team. So you're a busy girl, my friend. So tell me about all them projects. I don't know how you have enough hours in the day.
I don't know. And you know what? I got the call today to go back to work as well. So,
oh wow. Sorry about that.
Those weak fingers about to go.
Oh man.
Fantastic.
Or just as me and John described last time we were on together, you just don't sleep. Just don't sleep. That's the secret to podcasting and YouTubing. Just don't sleep and just keep your viewers and your listeners happy. But congratulations on all your success, Jess. I mean, like say your YouTube channel, your podcasting, and then Pro Wrestling Unlimited and TWM Wrestle Team. So you're a busy girl. And then John Scott,
X2.
John Scott times 2, of course. Great to have you back on the show. And recently you've finished WrestleLine podcast. I think it was me and you on the very final episode, wasn't it? Episode 200, where we did the Hogan Flair watch along. That was a lot of fun. And then the very next day you announced that you're going to be working pretty much on a regular full-time basis with Turnbuckle TV and Wrestle Talk, no less. So tell us about that little project that you've got on the go.
Yeah, I lied to you. That's what happened.
You didn't tell. You could have told me. I thought we were mates.
I had to keep it under wraps, my friend. I had to keep it under wraps. No, I'm in the process of transitioning currently as we speak. And to be honest with you, I can't really tell your listeners where to go to because I have absolutely no idea other than turnbuckletv.com. That's it. But I am going to be doing another podcast, but it's not going to be wrestling. It's going to be like a lot of other stuff away from wrestling. Things, very obscure subjects and very fascinating guests that I'm going to have on. Think like Louis Theroux mixed with a bit of Joe Rogan, bit of wildlife, bit of science, very strange conspiracy type stuff. And then on Turnbuckle, I'm going to be doing a couple of new shows, but I don't know what the titles are for those just yet.
Awesome. No, I'm really pleased for you two. Kind of doing really well. And when you're kind of big and famous podcasters and YouTubers, yes, you probably already are, but don't forget about me. Where you kind of throw me a couple of quid when I'm sitting in the gutter with my little old podcast.
Me and you are going to be like, have you seen what do you call it? Film with Brad Pitt and Leo. What is that film called? Tarantino.
What, the new one?
Yeah.
That Once Upon a Time, isn't it?
That's
Hollywood,
that's me and you.
Yeah,
it's going to be my stunt double.
I'll be the stunt double bodyguard.
When my voice goes, you just come in.
That's it. Well, we're nearly there, aren't we? Apart from you're probably a foot taller than me, but there we go. I'll get some platforms and something. But let's talk a bit about Money in the Bank then. Now, I've got to ask you both, what were your kind of expectations before sitting down and watching the pay-per-view last night? Starting with you, Jess. I mean, were you looking forward to it? I mean, some of the matches had a fairly good build. On paper, some of the matches didn't look too bad. We'll get into the matches and the card fairly soon, but were you excited for the show before you sat down and watched it last night?
I was, but I was scared. I was worried about how it was going to go down. I was thinking this is going to be absolute chaos. Such chaos, but you know what? I was actually quite impressed.
Pleasantly surprised. Yeah, no, it weren't too bad. I don't think there was too much to kind of gripe about and moan about. But what about you, John? Was there anything that you were looking forward to in particular, or not looking forward to, maybe?
Zero expectations on my part, as usual.
Really?
And I've got to say, I'll probably be the the miserable sod on this show because I have a few gripes on this one, but we'll get to that when it comes. But I had very little expectations going into this.
Yeah. I mean, they did have one match on the kickoff, and that was Cesaro versus the returning Jeff Hardy. Been out of action for about 12 months, some sort of knee injury, if I'm not mistaken. Quite a good match, actually. It probably deserved to be, put onto the main card. It was one of the better matches of the night. I really enjoyed it. You've always got the kind of strong style of Cesaro and Jeff Hardy kind of putting his life and his body on the line. I think he attempted a whisper in the wind and injured Cesaro, which kind of played into the story throughout the night. But Hardy did get the win in the end with a swanton or whatever he's calling it for the 1-2-3. Match went about 10 minutes, but what did you think of this? Starting with you, Jess. Did you enjoy Jeff Hardy versus Cesaro? What were your thoughts?
Yeah, see, they're two people that I adore, like absolutely adore. It shouldn't have been on the kickoff.
Yeah.
They don't deserve to be on the kickoff. Like, they deserve so much more than that. They should. I don't even think, because the show wasn't even that long anyway, so they shouldn't have even had
2 hours 25 minutes.
They should have even had like that long, even of a kickoff. They should have had a little kickoff, and then that should have been on the main show. But do you know what? It's actually a really good match. I did actually enjoy his returns. I'm looking forward to kind of seeing what Jeff Hardy kind of does going forward.
Yeah, and Cesaro seems to be kind of the bloke they're putting on all the kickoff shows. He had a kickoff match at the WrestleMania, I think. If I'm not mistaken, I can't remember who he went up against. Was it Drew Gulak possibly, and then here again against Jeff Hardy. So a good little match. Jeff Hardy returns with a victory. But John, any thoughts on that kickoff match, my friend?
Here we go.
No, I didn't mind this one. I thought this was all right, but I don't. You know what? I'll just throw it out there. This kickoff stuff gets on my nerves now because I just don't see the point of it. I really don't. I don't think people buy things last minute as much as they think they do, especially a network subscription. So, I always think just go on to like the main show, and these two should have been on it anyway because it would have filled a bit of more space and a bit more variety. So, it was good, solid match. I'm glad Jeff Hardy won. Yeah,
I mean, I agree with you about the kickoff shows, and I mean, long gone are the days when they're trying to sell pay-per-views. And although they do still sell pay-per-views, I don't think many people are really going to get it based off of these sort of pre-show or kickoff panels. But they should keep it to maybe half an hour, and whatever matches, just put them on the main card and fill out the card a little bit more. Because, like Jess said, it was only a short show, went about 2 hours 20, 2 hours 25, which was nice. It was nice, don't get me wrong, but they could have definitely had this match on there to kind of beef it up a little bit. But going into the main show then, so it kicked off with the SmackDown tag team titles. You had the New Day defending champions against the Lucha House Party, Miz and Morrison, former champions, and of course newcomers to the SmackDown brand, the Forgotten Sons. This was a fairly competitive match. Nothing wrong with this, to be honest with you. I thought it was fairly stiff, lots of action, quite fast paced. I mean, fairly early on you had Gran Metalik hit a pretty awesome Spanish fly with John Morrison off the turnbuckle onto the rest of the wrestlers on the outside. The action was thick and fast. There was lots of close near falls. I think Miz and Morrison nearly got a close near fall from a skull crushing finale, and then a Starship Pain from Morrison. So that was pretty good. You had Gran Metalik do his rope walk, big elbow. That was pretty cool. Jackson Riker got sent to the back after interfering, and I thought multi-team matches like this were no disqualification, but no, the referee sent him to the back anyway. So poor old Jackson Riker, I think he's getting sent back to the locker room more than he is seeing a match through to the end. And when are we going to see him wrestle? That's what I want to know. When are we going to see Jackson Riker wrestle? But the match came to an end when Big E hit the big ending on Gran Metalik. 1, 2, 3. They retained their championships. Yeah, and I thought this was a good match. And more than anything, I thought it was a pretty good match for the Lucha House Party. I thought Gran Metalik, with his kind of hair waving all over the place outside of his mask, looked pretty cool. And and I think even Corey Graves said that he kind of looked a bit like Juventud Guerrera, so that was a bit of a blast from the past. But good match for them. But New Day won the match, retained their championships. John, was this one of the matches you weren't keen on, or what did you think of this fatal four-way for the SmackDown titles, my friend?
Yeah, no, I liked this one. To be fair, it was a good like start to the show. And at this point, I actually thought I'm in for a good, entertaining night. Lots of drama. Like totally lots of drama in this, and I felt for a match without a crowd, this was done just right and booked properly. Like I notice a lot now, some matches are very suited and adapted for that, and some are definitely not. But this was the exception, and I felt everybody in this done a superb job. I just want to ask you a quick question though, John. Like back at you, like the whole. Would you like all this speculation about breaking New Day up? There seems to be this fascination all the time. Whenever there's a group, you have to break them up for some insane reason. But would you like them to be broken up, or would you continue?
I'll tell you what, John, because I think they're on the verge of being the most successful tag team in WWE history, aren't they? I don't know if it's the Dudleys or Edge and Christian. That has about 9 or 10 tag titles, and they're up to 8 at the moment, I think, New Day. But I did want, when Kofi was the champion, I wanted them to split up then, and for Big E to be a challenger to Kofi's championship when he was WWE. I thought that would be a fantastic match, to be honest with you, and a bit of a heel turn for Big E, getting to show a little bit of personality, a little bit more of the edgier, big man, because he's a very capable wrestler. He's former NXT champion, former Intercontinental champion, but I would have liked to have seen that. As for the future, I think it's got to happen one day, isn't it? That all good teams break up eventually, but I think not until they've got the the magic record number of championships under their belt first. But it's something I'd like to see. I wouldn't mind seeing maybe a heel Kofi or a heel Big E somewhere down the line. But what about you, Jess? Would you like to see the New Day break up? And what did you think of this match?
I don't think I want to see them break up. I think that'd be quite emotional.
Hang on.
Yeah. I mean, they've been together for quite a few years now, 5 or 6 years. They've been together for quite a while.
Such a good chemistry as well, and they're just hilarious. Like all of them together. They've all got, their own little bits, and they're all absolutely hilarious.
Yeah.
I couldn't see them break up. I think I'd be heartbroken.
Because it must be time for Xavier Woods to come back fairly soon, I would say. I mean, he's been on the shelf for quite a while with a torn Achilles. He must be coming back fairly soon. But did you enjoy this match? Were there any aspects you enjoyed or didn't enjoy?
Look, guys, I've got my booty eyes. Look.
Hey, look.
I'm representing. I'm representing, see?
You know what? I did like the match. It was good to see Lucha House Party because I really like them actually, and I think they do deserve, a little bit more than they're kind of being given at the minute. I don't know. I did enjoy it, but I'm not really sure what they're going to do with Miz and Morrison now. Don't know if they're going to keep giving them the title and then taking it away, and I don't know. I feel like they should have had it for longer. They should have had that title reign a little bit longer in my eyes.
Yeah, I think that's one team that's definitely going to have a split somewhere down the line, and it could be a SummerSlam match maybe with Morrison and Miz. But I thought it was a good match. And like I say, more than anything, my takeaway from this was how pretty cool Grand Metalik was. I thought some of his stuff he was doing, the Spanish fly and the rope walk, elbow drop was pretty cool. I think he definitely went up a couple of notches as far as I was concerned. But good way to kick things off on the main show. And then we got a backstage promo from Drew McIntyre. He said that he was going to welcome Seth Rollins to Claymore Country and that he was going to break Seth's jaw. But like I say, that's the second to last match we'll talk about a bit later. And then we had what we thought was going to be R-Truth versus MVP. This was a bit of a last-minute thrown-together match. I think they had a bit of a kind of face-to-face on last week's Monday Night Raw. But Truth came out singing his entrance music like he always does, singing to the WWE Universe. I think in his own head, he was getting the WWE Universe singing back at him what's up. But who knows what's going through that man's mind. And then Truth and MVP, they're talking about basketball or balling. I don't know. I'm not hip. I'm not down with the kids, so I don't know what they were talking about. And then we had big Bobby Lashley, the Almighty One, came out, interrupted the two of them. He sent MVP to the back. And there was an impromptu match between Bobby and R-Truth. The match went about 2 minutes. Bobby finished it off with a spear. So a quick match, a bit more of a comedy segment. They're trying to elevate Bobby Lashley from all of his wins. But Jess, did you get any enjoyment out of this one? Was it worth having on the pay-per-view? And maybe it should have been the kickoff match, and maybe they should have switched the two matches around.
Yeah, they definitely should have done that. Do you know R-Truth is such a legend?
He is a legend.
Like, he come out and he's expecting everyone to be there, and he was kind of like looking around like, don't really know where everyone is. I'm kind of glad in a way they did add Bobby Lashley in there. I was quite happy that they did put him in there. Obviously, I love MVP. I think he's great, but do you know what? I'm looking forward to seeing if MVP and R-Truth have a little bit more of a comedy moment together, because I quite enjoyed it. It shouldn't have really been in the main show.
Yeah.
Don't even know. Shouldn't even been a thing. It should have just been a little segment backstage, because it weren't incredible, was it?
Yeah, I mean, Lana's keeping her distance. She's staying backstage now. She knows not to interfere. John, I'm guessing you're not a fan of this one. Maybe for comedy value, maybe, but I don't know. I mean, Bobby Lashley came in, added a bit of legitimacy, you could say, but it wasn't a blowaway match, was it, my friend? 2 minutes.
I didn't mind. I didn't care if it was 2 minutes, but I wish they had done this with Lashley a lot sooner. Like starting way back before WrestleMania, getting him ready to be like the next guy in against Drew, like down the line, preparing him. But they seem like they've pushed the restart button and they're trying to do it now. But I kind of feel for Lashley because I feel like the only time WWE have ever been truly invested in him is since that crazy angle with obviously the triangle relationship and all the rest of it. Yeah. And it's not Lashley. Like if I was casting those roles, the last person I'd put in there is Bobby Lashley, let me tell you. But he's got the gig and he's getting more success out of that, it seems, than he did when he first started. So when he returned, so at least they've pushed the reset button. But they need to keep doing that. They need to like feed him loads of these sort of squash matches for a while.
Yeah, I mean, when he returned, a lot of people were kind of saying there's this dream match between Bobby Lashley and Brock Lesnar that's got to happen. You know, two big, powerful guys with the MMA backgrounds. Is that a match you'd like to see between Lashley and Brock Lesnar?
Not now, no.
No.
I would have done a couple of years ago. There was money in it, like at a SummerSlam, not a WrestleMania, but to be honest with you, I do think like Lashley could have had a good run at the top as a heel or a babyface, either or, had WWE used him. But I think at this stage, I think they've used him so poorly. It'd be very hard to convince me that this is a guy I would take seriously again.
Yeah, and I mean, you know, Lashley got the win. Like I say, he's had a run of losses at WrestleMania and various sort of pay-per-views. I mean, Jess, I mean, who would you like to see Lashley go up against to kind of make himself come across a little bit more serious for the future, I suppose?
Do you know what?
Don't say John Cena.
For me, Bobby Lashley. Right. I used to love Bobby Lashley, and do you know what? A couple of years ago, I went to like one of the shows in London.
Yeah.
I seemed to be the only person there that liked Bobby Lashley, right? You could hear me screaming. I was so excited, but now I'm at the point I'm like, I've had enough now. Like after the whole wedding and the love triangle, I'm just thinking, what are you doing with him? Like, I wouldn't even know who to put him with anymore.
Yeah.
Wouldn't even know.
Yeah, we shall see. But then we get another championship match. We get Bayley, the record-breaking SmackDown Women's Champion, against Big Tam, Tamina Snuka. And, you know, this was all right. I mean, you had Sasha Banks coming down to the ring with Bayley. I was more invested in kind of whether there was going to be any more development between the dynamic of Bayley and Sasha, and whether there was going to be any development there, because we know there's going to be an eventual split. That's got to happen. This was, every time you see the two of them on the screen together, you're always waiting for something to happen. But you know, this was an okay match. You had Tamina kind of shoving Bayley all over the place. I think she powered her over the announce table at one stage. And then just as Tamina was about to finish Bayley off, I think Sasha Banks comes in. They have a race around the ring. Tamina comes back into the ring, goes to Samoan drop a Bayley, and I think doesn't Bayley kind of pin her with a crucifix, but a little bit of interference there, a bit of shenanigans from Sasha Banks to protect her friend, to protect her partner. This match was all right, better than I was expecting, to be honest with you. This was one of the matches I wasn't looking forward to going in, mainly because I've never really been a big Tamina fan, and the new kind of Bayley gimmick hasn't really struck home with me yet, but it's getting there. But probably like the two of you, I'm more invested in that kind of eventual split between Sasha and Bayley. When's it going to happen? When are we going to have that turn on Sasha, or when's it all going to go sour? But any thoughts on this one? I mean, Jess, I'm going to start with you. You know, were you invested in the match before the match, after the match?
You know what?
Give us your thoughts.
Tamina to win. I wanted Tamina to win last night.
Interesting. Yeah.
I was team Tamina. I really was. I thought, do you know what? I feel sorry for that woman. She gets mugged up all the time, and I'm so excited when, you know, so the Bayley was going for her, and I just thought, you know, I'll smack her one, Tamina. Come on, get her, really go for it. And then she did, and I was really excited. So I was like, go on, Tamina. I just had this feeling, well, I had a dream that she was going to win it, but There we are. But
I mean,
you know
she's
what?
definitely being presented as the big bad monster, and they're giving her a good run with things, giving her a good push. But go on, finish your thoughts.
I was more interested in like Sasha Banks's outfit, if I'm honest, because like I was like, wow, like I want one of them. That was more I was interested in the whole time we were there. I'm honest with you.
But I don't know if they'll be selling that on WWE Shop anytime soon. But
Probably will.
you need to send him an email, Jess, and say I want a costume. We'll see if you can get him to shill it to you for a cut price. But John, any thoughts on this one? Did Big Tam do anything for you?
No, I thought this was abysmal, this one. I did not enjoy this at all. And, you know, like the whole Bailey thing, I can't get my head around it because, like, to me, I probably said this to you before, my listeners definitely know this, is that I see her as like a soccer mum in the US. Like, she's Miss Independent now. She's got her hair. It's not up anymore. And I don't know where she's going with the character, but she looks like a person playing the character as opposed to her. She looks just unnatural. And I can't believe that, I don't know how long ago it was, 5 years ago now, I was sitting in New York watching her and Sasha Banks had this tremendous match. And I thought it was really, once they get onto the main roster, you can't go wrong with them. And WWE have done such a terrible job. And I know that I complain that I always complain that WWE don't last storylines long enough. This is going on and on and on and on. There's not much progression ever with these characters week to week for me, and I'm kind of bored. I actually think when the turn happens, there won't be much there wouldn't be much reaction in any case. There's nobody there. But even when there are fans coming back, I'm gonna say that it won't be a big shock. Let's put it that way.
Yeah. And when the split does happen, Jess, who are you rooting for? You on Team Bailey or Team Sasha? You going for the boss or for the hugger or soccer mum? Who you going for? You're not.
No.
Fair play.
Who would you? Come on, let's hear you. Who would you pull for, John?
Me? Probably Sasha, to be honest with you. I think I've always gravitated more towards her, if I'm honest. But I mean, like you know, I fell in love with both of them from back in the NXT days. And Brooklyn 1 was at 2015. That was a cracking match, and you thought that they had kind of money as soon as they went up to the main roster with those two, and it just didn't quite materialise. And I know both of them have been successful champions, but the characters have been a bit dull, and so nothing really to shout about there. But I am kind of invested in the storyline, and I want to see what happens. And the fact they are dragging it out is kind of refreshing, because usually they have storylines, they blow them off in a couple of weeks. Just want it to happen sooner rather than later, because any longer I think will be overkill. It was what it was, and Bailey retained the championship thanks to a bit of interference from Sasha there. Big Tam goes to the bottom of the heap again, unfortunately. You never know, she might have another shot at the next pay-per-view. But well, you never know. I mean, her family's had a little bit of limelight with the old Dark Side of the Ring documentary recently. Yeah. Maybe they're trying to, scrape whatever they can from that. But then we had a backstage promo from Seth Rollins ahead of his WWE Championship match with Drew later on in the night. Seth tells us that he's going to do Drew a favour and unburden him of the WWE Championship. So, but before we talk about the championship matches which are coming up next, the Monday Night Messiah gimmick, is it doing anything for you? I mean, I think he's got a little bit more interesting on the microphone, if I'm honest with you, and I do prefer him as a heel. But your thoughts on Seth Rollins, the Monday Night Messiah? John, I'm guessing he's not doing anything for you at all, my friend.
That entrance last night, that just said it all for me. I couldn't believe he came out, and you can go back and watch this. I recommend anybody does, but just watch how he comes out. He's looking at, like, he's doing this. There's people there. I don't know why they're so programmed in their head to do that when they come out, when it's like a computer game. They have to do the same stuff over and over again. But I thought it was such a wasted opportunity having nobody there to hear this. It reminded me of Curtis Axel, that bloody theme song that he had. I wasn't doing anything for me, that theme song, by the way. Yeah. And when he was coming out doing this and doing that as if there were people there instead of the walls, I was taken completely out of it, and they should have held off on this one. They should have waited, definitely. But the whole, I mean, it's good because he is naturally a better heel, no doubt about it. But I think it's too soon that he's in this role. I would have rather them take their time a little bit more and maybe push him towards like Drew towards SummerSlam, but they've just kind of pounced on it automatically. And also, like, you know, the fact that he lost at WrestleMania, now he's got the it just doesn't make any sense to me. But there you go. The ladder has the ladders in WWE, like the progress stuff, I think is completely gone. So
yeah, the thing is, there's no, apart from Seth Rollins and one or two others, there's not many decent heels on the Raw brand, is there, at the minute? So it's kind of slim pickings. But let's get into the Universal Championship match first then. So Braun Strowman, the champion, beat Goldberg in, 2.5 minutes, 2 minutes, 10 seconds at Mania against Funhouse Bray. So this wasn't even the Fiend, this was Funhouse Bray. And I think the last time we saw Funhouse Bray wrestle was at TLC, and he beat The Miz quite convincingly. I think that's how it went anyway. But this was an all right match. It went to the outside. Strowman was throwing his weight around, and then Strowman got the black sheep mask from underneath the ring, put it on, looked like he was going to kind of come back into the Wyatt family fold, or was going to have Bray as his creator again, that he kind of succumbed to kind of the dark side, the Wyatt family, and then he turned on Bray. He stood on the mask, gave a power slam to Bray, 1, 2, 3. So the match wasn't anything to talk about. I was quite intrigued in kind of the in-between stuff with the storyline and the mask, and I thought they had a fairly decent build. I mean, Bray Wyatt, never fails to impress when he does his Firefly Funhouse stuff on SmackDown. Yeah, no Fiend in this one, so I only want to see Bray Wyatt when he's under the mask, to be honest with you. But Strowman retained, 1, 2, 3, still the Universal Champion. Jess, first of all, this match, did it do anything for you? Did you enjoy it? Did you dislike it? What were your thoughts on the whole black sheep mask stuff that was going on towards the end there? Give us your thoughts.
It was okay. Bray Wyatt, just when he comes out and he goes up to like the commentary, he's like, "You're doing a great job," and I thought, you are such a G, like you are so good. I love him, but I'm glad he didn't win. I think because there is more to that. There's more to that storyline. I think if they did, as much as Braun Strowman is basically a brick wall, like I don't think he should have lost that last night at all. So I'm glad he retained it, and there could be a better build up, I think. And they keep going, because I'm enjoying it. I'm enjoying that little storyline they've got, obviously because of the history.
Yeah,
I'm enjoying it.
Yeah. And I mean, potentially maybe they set it up for another match, a rematch, but this time it will be the Fiend versus Braun Strowman. But I mean, I said first time round when the Fiend had the belt at the championship before he got beat by Goldberg, I said that he's a character that doesn't need the championship. But maybe the Bray Wyatt, Funhouse Bray Wyatt, does need a championship, and they can kind of separate the two. But the Fiend definitely doesn't need the championship. I think he's too big a character of his own to even need a belt, to be honest with you. But once again, I think, especially with a lot of the wrestlers not all wanting to perform during the current situation, I think they are kind of very, very slim for opponents for the champions, as we said earlier, was slim pickings on the Raw brand, slim pickings on the SmackDown brand as well. But John, any thoughts on this one? Any bits that you enjoyed, didn't enjoy? Are you into the storyline? Do you think they need to have a rematch? What are your thoughts?
As I always say, you're never rewarded being a long-term WWE fan, that's for sure, because you have to press the restart button every time. But I've seen this many a times now, the whole Wyatt family. I'm kind of sick of it. But I was really hoping after WrestleMania, because Bray had got the rub, such a good rub from John Cena, that they were going to come up with something a little bit like, don't put him straight back in the title picture. But like you say, they haven't really got much choice. So at least it's Bray Wyatt and not the Fiend. I hope we haven't got to keep doing that though all the way through the year, where he comes out as Bray and then he wins the match as the Fiend. Like, I don't want to keep seeing that pattern, but I'd rather him just stick to the Fiend really in the matches anyway, in the big matches. But yeah, the match actually was better than I thought it would be. Considering Braun, a lot of people see him as a bit of a transitional champion. I think that maybe WWE have a little bit more confidence. I would suspect that Braun will. I think he'll keep the title once this feud's done with. I think he'll keep it, and they'll have somebody else, another heel, ready to take the title from him.
Yeah, and as we've said on so many other podcasts, they really kind of missed the boat when it came to Braun Strowman, and they should have put the championship on him much sooner. He lost a lot of credibility, and they really dropped the ball with him. And then they, due to circumstances, put him in the title picture at Mania. He won the title convincingly over Goldberg. Now they've got to keep the belt on him, for a while to make it worth their while, I suppose, because they've waited this long. They don't want him to drop it kind of, straight away. But I agree with you. I think that, he should keep the belt after this feud. But I'm just scratching my head to think, who's next down the road for Braun Strowman, who's going to be the next credible contender. Do they have to wait until the pandemic's over and then all the wrestlers are available? But we shall see. Maybe Goldberg will want his rematch, or
God, no.
Braun Strowman will kind of switch to the SmackDown brand. Brock Lesnar, will switch to the SmackDown brand, but who knows? We shall see. Like I say, it's slim pickings at the minute. It doesn't seem to be many people to put in that contender spot. But we did briefly touch on it earlier. I tell you what, before we get to the Seth Rollins Drew McIntyre match, Jess, who is the hacker then? Who is the hacker that keeps coming up in these video vignettes, these packages? I know you've asked the question. I'm asking the question. Who is it? I mean, is it CM Punk?
No.
Is it somebody we've not seen before? Is it somebody from the NXT brand? What are your thoughts?
See, everybody was saying it's Ali because of the kind of the way it's all set out, and I think like the lights, but that's too obvious. I don't know who it's going to be, but if it's someone stupid, or if it's someone that, if there's people saying it might be Shane McMahon, sorry, I wouldn't be able to cope. I'd be turning off. I can't be dealing with all that again. I can't. No thanks. I don't know. I really don't know who it's going to be. But that last night, the little bit they did last night was quite good. I was like, I could get behind this. But if it's going to be Goldberg or someone, I'm going to be livid. Livid.
Yeah, because the character, you could say that he's wearing a hood, so it could be CM Punk, it could be Ali. I'd be chuffed if it was Ali, because it would be great if they could reintroduce him and give him a bit of a run, because it's unfortunate last year when he got injured just before the Elimination Chamber. He was going to get a decent run all the way through to WrestleMania. We know that went to Kofi. Kofi took his spot, and then we know that Kofi had a fantastic run into WrestleMania, winning the championship. But that could have been Ali's spot, and since then he's kind of not really been seen much of, in the last year or so. So it'd be good if they can reintroduce Ali. We know he's a phenomenal talent, and brilliant kind of in front of the camera, great on the microphone. So a lot of potential there. I'll be chuffed if it was Ali. But John, any thoughts on who the hacker is? I mean, do you care about this little angle? Any thoughts?
I have no care. All I'll say to you is Hornswoggle. Remember when they've done that angle with Vince McMahon's illegitimate son, and they come up with that after everything? So I'm not going to get my hopes up too much on who it is. Maybe it could even be I keep saying to people the Repo Man, just as a bit of a laugh. I'm throwing that out at people that the Repo Man's coming back.
What's the most ridiculous wrestler you can think of that it could be?
Or maybe it's Vince himself, and he'll do the whole "It's me, Austin.
It was me all along."
Exactly. Yeah. But this whole thing with Ali, I don't mind that, but what the hell's that got to do with his character? I have no idea. Why would be doing this? I have totally no idea at all. It's definitely not CM Punk. There's no way he'd come back doing this stuff, especially without an audience. So it's pretty pointless. But I don't know. But I think the whole thing's with the effects, and that's just the cheap effects from WWE. That's why people are looking into it too much. But I think it's one of those things. They started this, and it got a wave of momentum to itself, so they're going to keep going on, because the more mystery, the better. But as soon as I guarantee you, as soon as they announce it, as soon as they pull the trigger, you're going to be all disappointed again.
Oh,
it's not going to be a good one. It's not going to be a good one, I'm telling you.
You grumpy git you.
I
dashing all of our dreams. Because for a change, they're not just introducing a character cold. They're building something up. It kind of reminds me of when they used to do these vignettes back in the day and introduce somebody new or reintroduce somebody. So and they've been doing this for a number of weeks now. So they're not kind of bringing somebody back, as I said, cold or after 1 week's build. So I am intrigued, and it's got us talking anyway. It's got us talking,
I don't mind as long as it makes sense. So there's some logic to it. If I see it on somebody like, I don't know, Daniel Bryan or something, that's it. I'm not.
Someone was saying about it being Shorty G, and I was like, no, you can just stop yourself there. You can stop.
Well, it might be a better gimmick than what they've given him with the Shorty G gimmick, but there we go. We digress. But on to the semi-main event then for the WWE Championship. You've got brand new champion Drew McIntyre against Seth Rollins, the Monday Night Messiah. And this was a good match. I really enjoyed this match. This was my match of the night, probably with Cesaro and Jeff Hardy coming in second. But you had Seth Rollins. He hit 2 suicide dives through the ropes, connecting with Drew McIntyre. He goes for a third, but McIntyre catches him and then throws him over the announce table. There's lots of back and forth action in this one. You get a couple of Glasgow kisses from Drew to Seth. We get quite an impressive spot where Seth Rollins hits a suplex off the top turnbuckle on Drew, getting the big man up and over into the ring with an impressive suplex. Then straight away, he deadlifts him into a Falcon Arrow and gets a close near fall off of that. That was a pretty decent spot there. Towards the end, you get Drew launches Seth off the top turnbuckle halfway across the ring from the middle turnbuckle, from the top turnbuckle even. Drew goes for a Claymore, only to be stopped in his tracks with a super kick and a curb stomp from Rollins for a 2 count. Rollins then attempts a second curb stomp, with Drew managing to avoid it. He nails a second Glasgow kiss. Rollins strikes back with a super kick, but Drew bounces off the ropes, connects with a Claymore, hooks the leg. He practically falls on Seth and hooks and gets to 1, 2, 3 to retain his WWE Championship. So this was a really good, fast-paced, hard-hitting, back-and-forth match. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I don't know how long it went. It probably went about 15, 20 minutes. But despite the fact they had no crowd there, I thought they really, really did well in this one. But Jess, like I said, I'm a big fan of this one. I'm glad that Drew retained. I thought that Seth was a good opponent, maybe a bit too soon. Like John said, maybe they could have held this off to a SummerSlam match. You never know. They might get another match together at SummerSlam. But I really, really enjoyed this one. But what about you?
I enjoyed the match. Like, definitely enjoyed. I actually thought it was really good. Better than I thought it'd be. But having Seth as the opponent, I think that was a stupid idea. Seth's someone that I don't know if you remember last year when I actually said, I think I was saying to everyone how bored I was of Seth. Like, I just wanted him to have a holiday, go on an all-inclusive somewhere and just take it elsewhere, because I was bored. I don't mind the whole new thing. It's all right. It'll do for now. But he just does my head in sometimes. I'm not going to lie. So I think it was too soon for him to be involved. Like, there was no point him having that opportunity. I feel like they should have built something up bigger. If they were going to do that, they should have pushed it back, built something up bigger, and just had Drew against some other person, whoever. Yeah. But yeah, the match overall was really good. But yeah, Seth's just a bit of a wet wipe in my eyes. So
not a fan of the character. Not a fan. I tell you, I'm at least. I think he's coming across better as a heel. I think he's always played a better heel than a baby face. And his new kind of gimmick, I'm becoming a fan of it. It's kind of a combination of a bit of Marty Scurll in there, maybe a little bit of Jay White from New Japan. I don't know, but I'm kind of liking the look and the new gimmick. But John, I know you're not a big fan of Seth Rollins at the moment, or maybe you are. Maybe I've misread. But what did you think of this one, my friend? What did you think of the match?
Well, I already said about the entrance being dire. But no, I actually enjoyed the match. But yeah, it doesn't resonate with me, even though he's a heel, which, I guess he should be doing. That should be making me dislike him. I've always never been keen on him. And I feel like last year, the whole Becky and him, the on-screen relationship, which had zero chemistry in my eyes. That just killed his character. Like, she was just outdoing him on the mic. I'm the man. And he's looking like, well, what am I? What's he going to do? He's not going to be the woman, is he? He's not going to put that gimmick on him. So they are. he was never going to do well out of that, I'm telling you. And now they found a position where he's had to go back. And this is just like the whole stuff when he had who were the last 2 sidekicks with him?
Rollins.
That's it. Yeah. Yeah. It's just the same thing.
What happened to them?
Yeah. So, but the match, I thought the match was good. I'm glad, obviously, Drew winning, but I do think this match was too soon, way too soon. I would have much rather they push something else Drew's way just for now, because at the moment, like, I'll be honest with you, without fans there's so many moments that are being missed, in my opinion, that they have. WWE, they're not in the same situation. I keep saying this as UFC and boxing, where they've just got to throw out fights and they don't know what they're going to get at the end of it. WWE has the power to be able to manipulate this, whereas other people can't. So they do such a poor job, in my opinion, of doing that and using the chess pieces where they need to be. So it was a good match, but I do think this will come back where Seth, unfortunately, I really believe he's going to fit in the Randy Orton stance now for the rest of his career, where he'll only be used when needed at the top.
Yeah, and like I say, Drew had a good win at WrestleMania over Brock to win the championship, and a solid contender in the shape of Seth Rollins here at Money in the Bank. So do you think that it's kind of doing, the strong opponents that he's managing to defeat is doing good for his championship run, making him more of a credible champion early on? I mean, they're setting him up with the big boys and he's winning every time. So,
but if sorry to cut you up, if
no, you carry on.
You remember what I said to you about the whole Brock Lesnar match? Now, if Brock didn't get the ump and throw his toys out the pram and obviously go, like I keep saying, Brock Lesnar is the man to talk to about quarantine, because that's how he lives his whole life. So you need to get advice from Brock, because he's got a compound up in Canada.
Out in the wilderness, yeah.
I feel like if Drew had have won the match, like an AJ Styles versus Brock match or a Daniel Bryan versus Brock match, if it had gone that distance and then Drew gets the win, I would have liked that a hell of a lot more. I think he would have got a much better rub that way. So until I see that, I don't really class Seth Rollins as a big name just yet for Drew. I think there's more to come, but they're going to stay with Drew. They'll stay with him.
Yeah, and I mean, I'm just going to throw it over to you then, Jess. I mean, who do they set Drew up with next? I mean, have you got anybody you'd like to see Drew go up against a future pay-per-view? I think they've already announced the next pay-per-view, haven't they? Backlash, but like I say, you got Backlash, and then I think you've got SummerSlam around the corner as well. And unless they do another rematch with Seth Rollins, I mean, is there anybody you'd like to see? Maybe a Jinder Mahal, have some sort of like 3MB flashback and get Jinder in there to face Drew next. But what would you say to that one, Jess?
Do you know, I don't know who I'd want. I don't know, but do you know, I do like Drew as a champion. Like, he's looking strong, he's looking really good, but I don't know. I really don't know.
Yeah, maybe AJ, now that AJ's back on the scene, and possibly Aleister Black. I don't know whether say two faces. Yeah,
I'd like Aleister Black maybe. AJ, he needs a day off as well.
Yeah, but interesting. And like I say, the fact is he retained his championship, and we're still talking about him as a he's not dropped the ball yet. He's doing well as a champion. I think they're doing well. But then we get to the main event then. So there's lots to talk about here. The lineup for the two matches then, and they both start simultaneously, different part of the WWE headquarters. On the men's side, you had Rey Mysterio, Daniel Bryan, AJ Styles, Otis Dozovic, Aleister Black, and King Corbin. On the women's side, you had Lacey Evans, Nia Jax, Carmella, Shayna Baszler, Asuka, and Dana Brooke. So I'm not going to go through all of it. I'm going to ask you both to pick out some of your memorable moments, because they both started in different parts of the building. You had the men; they started off in the gym. You had the ladies started off in the lobby. You had Asuka kind of making her entrance, like some sort of devil cat that jumps from the balcony onto the women down below. But the object of this was they had to fight through from the bottom floor of the headquarters to the top floor. There's a ring there. You've got ladders. You've got both briefcases. Jess, what were some of the highlights of this match for you?
Do you know what? I really enjoyed it until the end, but I'm not gonna lie, I was really enjoying it. I was glued to it. I was like, what? I had no idea how this was gonna go. I was thinking, are they gonna just run straight up the stairs? Are they gonna go bump into people in the offices? What on earth was gonna happen? I really wasn't expecting the food fight. Was not expecting that one. That took a bit of a turn. And do you know what? The Dana Brooke bit, I was like, what is going on? And Steph's cameo, that was horrific. I was so embarrassed for everybody involved in that moment. And when she said about Nia like drooling on the floor,
drooling on the carpet.
All right, what was she like? I don't know. Was she a Great Bernard? So much. And then the guys one, it was when like Corbin threw the metal plate thing through the glass, and I thought, oh, look, this is getting a bit serious. Mind your feet, because that could hurt.
Yeah, but
I went through.
And then I think Rey Mysterio, he ran past the public cubicles, didn't he? The men's room, and you had Brother Love zipping himself up after doing his business. And, you know, funny little things like that. John, what were the highlights of you? And I know this is probably the match you're going to rag on, isn't it? But were there any bits of this match you did enjoy?
Mate, let's just put it out there for those listeners that might not be familiar with me. I am a fan of the old territory system of the 70s, and you know what I mean. So
you should have been right at home with this match.
This is where I'm coming from, and I said the Boneyard match, I totally was acceptable for me, because they had the right character in it. And the same with the Firefly Funhouse, they had the right character. But as soon as you start doing this with just multiple wrestlers, this is where it gets lost for me. And it was like a ramped up version of the 24/7 title. They're all running after each other, like cartoony. This is one of those situations I would never have invited my friends round that don't know wrestling to watch that. No way. It wouldn't have been on the TV. I'm telling you, this would have been the worst introduction ever. There were a few things for me. I've got some notes actually, as you can imagine.
Here we go. Brace yourself, Jess.
Well, the beginning,
I'm ready.
the thing that made me smirk the most was the bell at the beginning of both matches. They ring in the bell from over the other side, wherever that is. Okay, I was glad they didn't have commentary through it. That's a 1 plus. Apart from the end, which I'll get to, which was the most. I mean, Michael Cole at the end. Yeah. Michael Cole at the end. That's how I was feeling at the end of the match. Like, his enthusiasm was about
he didn't want to be there, did he?
No, he didn't want to be there, and it was recorded over, so like they could have got him to do it multiple times. But I've got this Doink the Clown was the worst Doink the Clown person they could have ever found. I think there'd been 5 different Doink the Clowns, and that looked like the same guy that came into it later. He was like doing the mopping. I think it was the same bloke.
Janitor, yeah.
The Stephanie McMahon bit, as you said, Jess, that was terrible. It looked like they'd shot that in a house, and then like the wrestlers are looking at nobody, like a green screen or something. That was terrible. And what else have I got now? And the part of it for me as well, like the wrestlers running, because we've had like with the Boneyard match, we didn't know too much about it, and we didn't know much about the fight. But they have been building this something chronic. We've seen this ridiculous CGI version of the building, which makes it far too bigger than it actually is. And you've seen all this stuff there, and they've been telling us they're going to start from the bottom, go to the top. So you've already got some sort of like imagery in your head, what's going to happen. And I just don't like the fact that they made it a comedy match between both. They had them running like interlinking. And I think all the spots they said in the build-up, like, oh, they could go in Vince's office. They could go in the gym. Well, they just told us everything. So there wasn't too much to be like, oh, wow, I didn't see that coming. Yeah. I think we all kind of expected it. I'll let you get on with the conclusion to this, and I'll sum that one up when we get there.
Before I get to the conclusion, the bit I really enjoyed was when Daniel Bryan and AJ Styles fought their way into Vince's office, and he's there, and he gives them the stare and tells them to get out. And before they kind of leave, they rush back in and tidy the chairs, and then they kind of leave quietly. They close the door behind him, and then they start fighting again. You got Vince McMahon. He kind of has to put the hand sanitizer on. That was the highlight of the match for me. I thought that was fantastic, to be honest with you. I thought the food fight, like Jess said, that was mildly entertaining. The Doink bit, no chance. Big fan of the original Doink, not so much when he turned babyface with Dink, but like I say, looked like the janitor was having a busy night doing various roles there, to be honest with you.
Got paid well.
He really did.
Yeah,
but and then the end of the match, you had some of the men kind of. No, I think the women kind of got up onto the roof first. Let me just check my notes here. So it's women they were first on the roof. Asuka fights off Lacey Evans and Nia Jax, but then King Corbin, he comes, tries to scale the other side of the ladder. He gets knocked off by Asuka. She manages to unhook the briefcase, so she wins the women's Money in the Bank match. So that's fantastic. Really, really pleased for Asuka. We'll kind of get your thoughts on the winners in a minute. And then Aleister Black, Rey Mysterio, Otis and AJ, they're next on the roof. King Corbin throws Aleister Black and Rey Mysterio apparently off the roof. There was murder on last night's pay-per-view. And like you say, when Michael Cole came back onto commentary, he was kind of deadpan. There was no mention of the alleged deaths that had just happened.
It's like he was on his phone from his bed, and they were like, "Can you just record this bit to the end of the match?" And then he's saying it like half asleep. in his bedroom.
You've had AJ Styles come back from the dead after being buried by The Undertaker in the Boneyard match. Now they've got to explain on TV tonight, on Monday Night Raw, why Aleister Black and Rey Mysterio aren't actually dead, or are they dead? Are we ever going to see them again? Are they going to come back different characters? That's going to be an interesting, because you heard a splat. You had 2 splats when they got thrown over. So that was kind of weird. And when it was going on, I thought, okay, they just thrown them onto some padding or whatever. But there was no mention of what happened afterwards. And everyone on the internet is going wild, thinking that there's been murder on a WWE pay-per-view and why the police been called.
Where was Michael Cole then?
Exactly. So then AJ Styles and King Corbin, they fight over the briefcase on the top of the ladder. Then from out of nowhere, you get Elias. Where the hell did Elias? Why didn't we see Elias somewhere in the building where they were fighting up and down the stairs? He comes in from out of nowhere, smashes Corbin across the back with a guitar. AJ and Corbin, they've already unhooked the briefcase, but AJ fumbles the briefcase and drops it. But who should catch it? Standing on the canvas underneath the ladder, Otis Dozovic. So we got our women's winner in Asuka. Congratulations, Asuka. So she's hopefully going to have some good success with the briefcase. You never know. She's a former Royal Rumble winner. And then Otis Dozovic, who's had a bit of a push, some good storyline development with Otis, and he wins the men's Money in the Bank. So, Jess, I'm going to start with you. I mean, the conclusion of the match, the double murder homicide, the winners with Asuka and Otis. That was a pretty unique ending that a lot of people are talking about.
I want to know what happened to the other girls to start with. Why is it just the 3 of them left? Like, did the others get murdered by Corbin as well? Did they get killed?
Who knows? I know Dana Brooks, she slipped over in the janitor's mopping, so she was out of it.
Not fall. The others ran. They didn't fall over.
Yeah, well.
So she got injured. Shayna, I thought we could have had a potential winner with Shayna, which I was really looking forward to. Yeah. Why on earth was Asuka trying to beat Baron Corbin up and throw him off? Was she trying to get both? No idea. My pick, Aleister Black, got murdered. Interesting. But what didn't help, obviously, when they first zoomed into the outside bit on the roof, you've already seen there's padding outside. It was already padding. So when this happened, you're like, oh, they're still alive. They're fine. But it was not mentioned. Otis winning. He shouldn't have been in the match anyway, to start with. All right, he's getting the push, but he should not have been in that match. I obviously, like I said, I wanted Aleister Black to win because I felt like he really deserves that. I wouldn't have minded if AJ wins, really. But the fact that the ending, that Otis won.
Yeah, not a fan of that ending. Not a fan of that ending.
No, sorry. No.
I'm pleased for him. I think he deserves a bit of a push. I mean, I'm gutted that it's kind of apparently all looking like splitting up the heavy machinery. I thought, him and Tucker were a good team, and I was hoping they'd put the tag titles on them. But yeah, it looks like they're going to be concentrating on Otis as a singles competitor, which is fine, I suppose. Not so much for Tucker. But John, I'm just kind of waited with bated breath to hear your comments on the conclusion to this match, my friend. Go for it.
I wouldn't hold it too much. But no, yeah, the whole thing for me at the end was a nightmare. The only positive thing I'll say about it was they run the matches at the same time, because there's no way I could have sat through both of them. Yeah, exactly the same type of thing. So I'm glad they mixed both of them, because it had to be that way in my opinion. But it was a shame that they were both comedy matches, both of them. And although there were some funny bits, to see AJ and Daniel Bryan doing that stuff. AJ Styles after the Boneyard match, I mean, I don't know. It's like AJ's gimmick matches are these things now. These sort of cinematic vision stuff that we're getting. But yeah, I've got written in my notes, ideas were good, but the execution of all of them were terrible. It's like even Vince didn't even look like he really wanted to be there. Stephanie was terrible in it. The only bit I enjoyed was probably the Bruce Pritchard bit as Brother Love, just because there's some humour in that. But I mean, there was too much of that stuff as well. And the ending of it, first of all, Asuka winning, I don't really care. I think Asuka, years ago, I was all for her when she was unbeaten and all the rest of it. And I thought, even though she lost to Charlotte, which I had no problems with, by the way, they lost it with her ever since. And although she's she's got this. Her character through that match, like a lot of
Character is
people,
awesome. Yeah.
well, I don't think it is. I was
think it's awesome.
horrified by it. No, it done my head in. But I've seen a lot of praise for her through having, like, apparently a lot of fans, a lot of my listeners say that they prefer her since there's been no crowd because we're seeing a different side of her. But for me, I'm just kind of past that. I don't get her character. It doesn't resonate with me at all, I'm afraid. And the Otis win, like, how many times do you think that took them to get that right? Do you think they took about 3 cuts of that?
Oh, yeah.
You know, like, get it right on the 4th take and all the rest of it, to because I can imagine them. There's no way they would have done that spot.
You can see some dodgy cuts around there. When the briefcase first gets let go, Otis is nowhere near the ladder, and then when they kind of show it from a different camera angle, he's right underneath the ladder. So it took him at least a couple of goes to get that right.
I'm going to ask you to this: is Otis actually, in your opinions, like a worthy, like, guy that could go in and win the title?
Go on, Jess. Hello, Jess.
No, sorry.
That's all right.
He's a tag team guy for me. Sorry, he's not a single competitor. He's not going to go against Drew McIntyre, is he? Imagine that. He's not going to go in against Drew McIntyre. I was so confused. I know they're pushing him as like a singles guy in a minute.
You know,
poor Tucker. Like, I feel quite sorry for the guy. He's like, well, when's my turn then? When am I going to ring the Royal Rumble?
What do you say, John?
I like Otis. I like him as a character. He is more of a comedy character than kind of anybody can take seriously. But I suppose, you know, he's popular. I think he's a good character. I've quite enjoyed his storyline with Mandy Rose and all that. So I've enjoyed all of that. So I think, yeah, he's not one you can really get behind as a serious wrestler, though, is he, to be honest with you? But I'm interested to see what they do with him. He's someone new that they're pushing, which is refreshing. Somebody they new that they're getting behind. So it's interesting to see how they use him. They seem to know what they have in Otis as well. So, you know, big, strong character. Bit of a, you know, a Wally, let's be honest with you. He just kind of mumbles stakes and weights and you know, and silly things like that. I'm not entirely sure what Mandy sees in him, if I'm honest with you.
It's the best 2020 for him, I'm telling you. A lot of people have had very bad years, but not for Otis. He's having a cracking year, really.
So I'm interested to see what they do with him. I don't think they'll put the belt on him, if I'm honest with you. I think it'll be a failed cash-in if ever that happens. I wouldn't mind seeing him go up against someone like a Braun and to have like 2 big guys go at it. That won't be too bad. And make it short though, please. But yeah, I'm intrigued. I'm not against it. Let's put it that way.
You know, I can see that Money in the Bank, the briefcase. I can see Vince going, let's turn it into a lunchbox type thing. Let's sell that. I think this is like Vince McMahon pet project. I think Vince finds this funny. Because he's not normally backing guys like this, and but I wouldn't mind seeing it. I got a feeling they might do something with Mandy where he gives that briefcase to her, and then she's going to screw him by the end of it. I can see that running down the line. I don't know. Yeah. I just got a feeling they're going to do that. I can't see him going up against the babyface at all. So.
Yeah, but no, I agree. As just to echo your sentiments, I'll be surprised if they actually follow through with an actual cash-in. I think he's going to lose the briefcase somehow, and I think Mandy's going to be behind it. So very, very interesting. So let me throw it out to you both then. Kind of Money in the Bank 2020, no crowd, that weird and wonderful Money in the Bank main event. Jess, was it a thumbs up or a thumbs down show for you?
Yeah, I liked the show overall. It was all right. It got me through time. I'm not going to say I was jumping with joy, but yeah, I was quite excited to see who was going to win the money in the actual match, like the ladder match. So to have that ending, I thought, well, that was a waste of 2 hours. Yeah. Really, I was so excited when it started. I was like, yes, and then I thought, typical. But apparently, I've heard that Vince McMahon absolutely loves Otis, absolutely loves him.
There we go. It'll be main event in WrestleMania 37, I recken, if that momentum continues the way it has done the last few months. But
Roman out, Otis in.
Well, it looks like that's already happening, isn't it? So when they're trying to raise
Roman and Otis, that's what it'd be them two together. That'd be Vince's dream, wouldn't it?
Yeah, but I can kind of see what Vince likes in him, but definitely not one you can get behind as a
But
serious
dude,
wrestler.
there's been loads of these characters that have been funny, but I've never seen Vince go, let's just put the money in the bank on these guys as well. I've not seen that so much. Like,
Yeah,
I wonder if he's just clutching at straws at the moment.
yeah,
You
seeing what
know?
works.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, like Jess, I mean, I would have. My favourite going in was Aleister Black. I would have loved if I think Aleister Black is going to get his shot somewhere down the line. I wouldn't be surprised if he's, in a championship contenders match at WrestleMania when it comes around next April. I think that Aleister Black's elevation is going to continue. But Otis, I'm intrigued. I'm enjoying what they're doing with it at the moment. So just
I'm going to buy you a top. I'm going to buy you that lunchbox when it comes out. I'm going to buy it.
The Otis Money in the Bank Champion 2020 T-shirt.
Well, it was a boombox last year, so they're trying to find new ways to do it.
Flog something, yeah.
Yeah, but John, I'm kind of guessing which way you're going to head on this one. But was it a thumbs up or a thumbs down show?
Well,
give us your honest opinion.
A thumbs down. That was the honest opinion. Thumbs down because I know AEW last week done something similar, but again that's just thrown out at the end of the show. But this had so much because they built this so much. I think they're their own worst enemy. If they'd have shut up and just got there, maybe I would have come out of this with it was better than I went in thinking. But I had very low expectations, and then when I saw the comedy stuff, I'm just not a fan of pure comedy all the way through it, especially when it's for the Money in the Bank in both matches as well. Just too much for me. And I know AJ Styles was kind of too obvious, but I would have gone with that too obvious because I feel like him has got a bit of momentum at the moment after the whole Undertaker thing, and I think that would have gone a little bit better for me. So yeah, but the show, it's not terrible, but it's certainly not a recommend. I won't watch it again.
And before we let you both go, I've got to ask, what were the highlights? What were the bright spots from the show for you? So starting with you, Jess, what were the kind of the number one or two highlights for you that you're going to take away from this show?
Maybe next time don't stay up as late and watch it. Good one.
I fell asleep.
Probably call the police because
yeah,
murders. Do you know what I was actually saying? I was saying on the podcast the other day, there's a lot of angry people wanting to murder people at the minute. There's a lot of anger.
Oh yeah.
In that company, I'm pretty sure they mentioned on one of the show on Raw last week about them killing each other. There is some deep stuff. Really, really deep therapy stuff going on there.
There's going to be some episodes of Dark Side of the Ring in about 10 years' time, kind of based around what's going on at the minute. Absolutely.
Otis throwing food at Paul Heyman. That's what it's going to be.
Well, I got to say, for me, my highlight was the food fight. The whole show, I just thought the food fight was great. You had stare down between Otis and Nia Jax when he was trying to eat a sandwich. I loved all of that. I'm all for a little bit of comedy and a good old-fashioned food fight. You can't beat a good old-fashioned food fight. But John, what were your highlights? If there were any, what were your highlights from last night's show, my friend?
Well, there were a few highlights, but not many. But I don't know. Maybe I'll say Bruce Pritchard's brother Love coming out of the bog went down. That was all right. I thought that was the only comedy bit we were going to get though, so I'm doing happy with that. For me, just one more thing. I thought the most ridiculous thing as well, other than Michael Cole coming on at the end, was the ring announcer back at the Performance Center announcing the winners. The top of a building in Connecticut. I just really did not understand why they were doing that to an empty arena. But that threw me out of it as well. I don't think WWE have got to grips yet with the whole empty arena. Did either of you fans of UFC, did you see the UFC show that took place on Saturday?
No, not me.
Well, I tell you, it was done. Obviously, it was in front of an empty arena, but I think they got the right idea. I think WWE needs to take some ideas from them badly going forward, because I think they've got it just right how they're doing it, which is odd. But I would take. But highlights
of the whole night. Yeah, what was your
whole night? My goodness.
So many. You can't.
Surely the Seth and Drew match that delivered.
It delivered, yeah, but again, that entrance took me out of it so bad, man. I thought that was terrible for me. I was just taken out of it. I actually will say the kickoff match is probably the best highlight I had, because I didn't see it coming and Jeff Hardy getting the victory. But other than that, like I've got to address the elephant in the room. The ratings are going down. Like there's no, the consistency is awful. Obviously, the hardcore fans like us, we're always going to watch it, but I'm telling you, I know WWE are thinking that there's a whole audience out there at the moment that are sitting at home, that they're in lockdown. They're not making up any grounds on Raw and SmackDown. I'm telling you, and it's some of their worst product, I think, that's gone out. So I really think they've got to get a little bit more out the box with stuff, you know, and start talking to the camera as opposed to looking out at nowhere. Some of the wrestlers are doing it and some aren't. Drew McIntyre is a really good one at looking into the camera and talking to you at home. Yeah. Not many highlights, I'm afraid.
No, I thought it was when I was watching it live, I did fall asleep a little bit towards the main event, but I did rewatch it this morning. But I thought it was an okay show. There were some matches. There was no duds on this show as far as I was concerned. Some of the comedy did throw me off in the main event, but I thought the Drew McIntyre Seth Rollins match more than made up for any kind of anything that didn't shine on the show for me. Yeah, and the kickoff match was very good as well. But before we let you both go, Jess, I'm going to start with you. Have you got any social media handles, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook? I know you're all over Twitter and Instagram. Give my listeners a chance to say hi, catch up with you, get to see what creative stuff you're throwing out on a weekly basis. Where can they find you, Jess?
You can find me on Twitter at WatchesJess, where I always post about what podcasts I'm doing, what videos I'm doing. I've got Just Jessie on YouTube, which has now been changed from Jess Watches. So I've got loads of new stuff going on there, and then I've got Instagram, which is JessieCarter1.
Awesome. And Mr. Scott, where can my listeners reach out to you, say hi, and find out what you're up to?
They can reach out, but don't say hi. But no, turnbuckletv.com, turnbuckletv.com. Come along. Podcast is going to be just John Scott Podcast from now on. So different. And I think Instagram is John_Scott_podcast now. So that's where you can find me. And I'll be making a few announcements. I'll be coming out about some new shows that I'm going to be doing. Just before we both go, I'm just going to ask you both, did you check out The Undertaker Chapter 1 that come out on the day? That was really, really good. I'll recommend that 100%. Don't watch Money in the Bank if you can't be bothered, people. If you're watching this and you haven't seen it, just, you know, you've already listened to it, spoiled.
Listen to the podcast,
but go, you know, they've heard it, but go and watch The Undertaker. It's really, really good. And
the last ride,
the biggest surprise for me was that they had lots of Roman Reigns in it, and they had Chris Jericho featured very heavily.
Yes,
and Jim Ross as well, which I was quite surprised about.
Because they must have started filming this before WrestleMania Orlando, which was 3 years ago. So it's a 5-part documentary, isn't it, John?
Yeah,
5-part
really
documentary. Good. So this was kind of around the time of the build up to his match with Roman Reigns at WrestleMania 33. So that was the year before I went. But yeah, really, really good. And Jess, if you haven't seen it, I definitely recommend it. I've got about 10 minutes of the first episode to watch, and I know it's going to be out over the next few weeks. 5 episodes all in all. But listen, John, Jess, thank you very much for being great guests on this Money in the Bank review show. No, you're very, very welcome. We'll have to do this again. It's been a great laugh. But thank you so much. And I'll make sure that all of your handles, all of your social media addresses are attached to the description of this episode. So for any of my listeners that do want to reach out and say hi, don't say hi to John, but you can certainly check out what they're both up to. Just click into the description of this podcast, click on any of the links, and get to know Jess and John and all their fantastic stuff a little bit more. But from me, that's the end of this Money in the Bank pay-per-view review. So please keep it tuned to the Wrestling with Johners podcast. And if you've enjoyed listening to the show, please don't forget to spread the word. Tell your friends and tell your family. Don't forget to hit that ever important subscribe button so you can be notified every time a new episode drops. One final thank you again to John and Jess, and we'll catch up with all of you again soon. Thanks for listening. Take care, guys.